And welcome to the Assembly Required Podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing and where we always start late, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time-ish. Emphasis on the ish. And now your trio of hosts, starting with Audrey Hufflepuff Ember, Romina, the Ravenclaw, and your favorite Dark Lord of the interwebs, the Slayer of Slytherin, the Champion of Gryffindor, Roberto Blake. Welcome, and we hope that you enjoy tonight's program where we will do our very best to make Hogwarts great again.
I'm severely offended by that.
That was on purpose.
That
was on purpose.
Whoa, I'm definitely not a Hufflepuff.
You're not a fan of Hufflepuff, huh?
No, I'm not one of them.
Wow. Did you hear that? Roberto said, I'm not one of them.
The shade.
Oh God,
wow.
The shade. It's lovely.
So what's, okay, spill it.
Why are we talking about Harry Potter, by the way? How did this come up? I don't remember.
All right. Well,
I don't even remember.
I don't remember why we were talking. Well, I think we were going to suggest how to make Hogwarts better.
Yeah, I think we were talking about like the education system at some point, and then we talked about how bad technically like Hogwarts is. If you really think about it, like why the hell would you pay tuition for that? Like it's like given that the absolute danger and jeopardy they constantly put your kids in. I mean, it's like is a life insurance waiver part of the tuition cost? I mean, sheesh.
What would you do if your kid was not accepted into Hogwarts?
Cry.
But
threaten the administration as a proper Dark Lord should.
What if they got into another school? That's a little subpar, but they're learning.
Hogwarts or bust.
Hogwarts or bust.
I feel like don't settle for mediocrity in my family.
Is there only like because I feel like in the books there's like different high-end schools in different countries that we know, but we don't know about all the
because they like played Quidditch against other schools. So yeah, there's clearly other schools out there.
Yeah.
But like, do they just not matter? Does nobody care about them? Because they literally were never mentioned once.
Hogwarts, I guess, is like the Harvard of the wizarding world. I guess it's like, oh, there are other schools out there, but Harvard.
Because they literally almost make it seem like, that's just the amount of kids that there are who are
wizards and witches and warlocks. Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah,
but they don't do math or they don't do science. Like, I don't know.
They are not well-rounded.
They live in the same world as we do, so why don't they do any? Like, why isn't there a mix? You know what I mean? Like, why do they only do?
Don't they have to go to regular school at some point throughout the year too, or something like that? Because like, don't they have to get like a regular person degree or like I don't? Yeah, the logistics of Hogwarts. That's interesting.
Like, do any of them decide that they don't want to do something wizard related, and they just go and become like physicists or something? Like, does this happen?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it does. Well, wasn't Ron Weasley's dad or super into Muggle?
Well, he was into Muggle like studies or something, not actually.
But that meant but that's also why the Weasleys were poor. That's also why the Weasleys were poor.
Yeah.
Wow, what a jazz.
And then like I mean the alternative is if you're married to like a Muggle and like your kid's only a halfling, like Hermione's parents.
A halfling?
Yeah.
Isn't it half-blood? Sorry.
I'm being polite because like they go with mudblood.
Yeah, it's mudblood.
Yeah, I'm being polite and politically correct and everything like that. Halfling is like being kind.
Halfling. Oh God.
Halfling. I can see it now.
Hobbitses.
What about the problem of slavery in Harry Potter?
Wasn't there? Was there? What was the issue with? Was it?
The
Well, I mean,
elves.
with animals.
The elves.
Elves. The elves.
Yeah, remember Dubby's whole thing? He was a slave.
Dubby? Did you just say Dubby?
That's how you
It's
pronounce his name.
Dobby,
Dobby.
not Dubby.
Dubby.
Dobby.
Dobby.
With
I'll
Dobby.
call you Dubby.
Like, were they like legit slaves, or were, because I know he was a servant, but was he like a legit like enslaved?
Yeah, they were enslaved. They did it. My roommate was. I talked to my roommate earlier, and he was saying that the ones at Hogwarts were paid, but all the other ones were not.
So in Hogwarts, were they slaves, or were they staff, or were they indentured?
Indentured staff.
Like,
because they were paid at Hogwarts, but they
were
literally
paid.
the only
Okay,
ones.
so they were paid,
and it was because Dumbledore like made a point of it to do that.
okay, but nobody else did. And
Yeah,
how did they become enslaved? Do we know?
I don't know the lore, but I don't.
Because here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. With them, it's like there's a part of me that like I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just wondering if something happened where the elves did something, and then
This is a price they have to pay.
yeah, like
I don't
which I don't
remember
agree
that.
with,
I
but
don't
I'm
think
just trying
there
to
was
figure
any
out.
backstory.
Yeah, which I don't agree with. I just have to.
I don't know if there was any reasoning. I think people are just mean. Because yeah, there's a whole sock thing. Like as soon as they got clothes, they were set free.
Yeah, it was like their right.
It's almost like they were cursed. Like
I think it was it must have been some kind of curse or some kind of treaty.
Yeah, but who
or something.
said it? You know, was it the wizard?
It has to be something that must have happened during like an ancient magic war.
But it has to do. But regardless, like the elves are still paying the price, right?
Which I don't agree with. Like, and were the elves a natural occurring thing, or were they created by wizards?
You think?
I don't know.
Because I think
You think
that's
they're like genetically engineered?
Sort of. I think that they were conjured by wizards, and then they might have reproduced after that. But I think originally they might have been conjured by wizards, and I think that's where you get into the issues with in magic and fantasy stuff like Harry Potter. I think that they don't necessarily in most cases conquer or enslave sentient beings, but if they conjure or create them, then they do, because they're at that point they're literally they're gods at that point. They're the maker at that point. And because they were even if they're born naturally after that, if their progenitor their forefathers were created or engineered, they don't consider them as like having the rights of other sentient beings, because they were made or they were conjured, not a naturally occurring species. Not saying I necessarily agree with that, but I'm saying those are the mechanics of the fantasy world. Kind of like how, like, if we made AI, if we made artificial cyborg, well, not cyborgs, they'd be androids. If we made androids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, which is an interesting point in the Matrix. It's like, is that like, because like those were all like there weren't really technically, if you think about it, even the kids in Zion, even the people in Zion weren't technically. They were like, it was like, oh, those are free range humans.
Also, I haven't heard anything about the aliens. Wasn't that supposed to happen?
It happened this week. I think people are still digging through all of it.
It's happening. I think it was supposed to happen on the 1st. Or like people speculated that it would, but I think
I heard it did. Like, and people are just going through. Okay, like I mean, because it's a lot.
See, if we were magical beings, we could just wave our wands, and the book would just read itself. To us. Right? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah. I think so. There's got to be something for that.
Like a spell.
I don't know. If like aliens showed up and everything like that, I mean, it'd be interesting. It's like you just have a bunch of wizards just show up and be like, yeah, Avada Kedavra. Like that's
right,
that.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that earlier.
Like,
oh my God.
I mean, like in regards to like the souls and the like the beings who were conjured versus being naturally born.
Yeah.
I mean, they could
Like-
easily just eliminate them, right?
And like, well, I mean, if you do
Well, it's
that,
like,
though.
yeah, but it's like, making a mistake, right? Kind of like,
Well, I mean, just because they are considered to be like abominations, I think the reason is it's wasteful to. I think it's considered wasteful, so that's why they don't, just
wasteful. It's wasteful if they keep taking everybody's resources and.
No, that's why they're like, oh, we're putting them to work is probably their reasoning. Again, I don't agree with them. Like, I don't agree with it. I'm just saying that's how I think the mechanics of that world play out.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with it, is that I'm going off of the mechanics of the world. But if we're making Hogwarts great again, I mean, so Dumbledore was like, I think, a terrible headmaster when it's all said and done. Yeah, I said it.
Well, because he didn't.
Why? Like, what?
He wasn't taking care. I mean,
give me points in favor of
Dumbledore.
Give me points in favor of Dumbledore. Dumbledore was like a horrible headmaster.
This is a boarding school. Like,
I guess he did almost kill a lot of people.
You think?
Yeah, like half of the school.
Did.
Yeah. Not to mention he kept so many secrets.
True.
And he encouraged some of the students to endanger their lives.
Yes.
That's true. Multiple times.
And he constantly, like, not only did he, like, do that, he constantly endangered them directly through his action or inaction.
True. But otherwise it wouldn't have been a good story, you know what I mean?
No, it could have been a good story if you have think about
we need to carelessly put the
headmaster-
children in danger, otherwise the story is bad.
Yeah, okay, but think about this. What if the headmaster was more like Professor what was her name? Umbridge?
Oh god,
Is that her
please
name?
no.
You know what I'm
Please.
talking about? With the
Yeah.
cats?
I think that's like the character in a story or like that I hate the most. Like it just has lingered with me forever.
She was like a dictator, right? She was like
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not necessarily the thing as having a good headmaster. Like, I mean, for one thing.
No, but I was trying to say to Audrey that if the headmaster was like her and provided this obstacle the entire time, it would still make a good story. You know what I mean? Like,
But wouldn't they have all died?
Dumbledore.
Why didn't Hogwarts have better defenses than expecting children to literally fight off Death Eaters and monsters?
I mean, they had a pretty rigorous defense system. But
Well, yeah,
No,
don't
it
you remember-
ultimately, the war for Hogwarts,
I know, but the war
Battle of
was
Hogwarts.
nuts. I don't think they were.
The Battle of
It's
Hogwarts.
a school. I don't
But
think
don't
they
you
were
remember when
expecting
all
a
of the
full
teachers
It's a
like
war.
school.
stood up and like
Go ahead, Remy.
I'm just saying, don't you remember when all the teachers, the professors came out and they were fighting and they had like the force field and all that? Like they said, like they put up a good fight, you know?
Like, I don't know why you would have military grade defense system at a
Because you
school.
literally have the children of, in many cases, rich and famous, powerful wizards. Every one of those children is a potential victim of, like, for kidnapping, specifically for obvious reasons of either ransom or indoctrination or any number of nefarious things.
I feel like they're prepared for that. It was the like
not really, because of the Goblet of
supervillain
Fire, they
type of
murdered
thing.
Cedric.
Oh yeah, but that
Cedric-
was also Voldemort. That wasn't like a random.
They should have been
dude.
prepared. You know, when we go to VidCon, we got security.
Yeah, but is VidCon security gonna fight off like
Yes,
Voldemort?
they
No.
have. Like, well, not necessarily Voldemort.
You know
but,
what I
like,
mean? But like that level of villain.
Yeah, they are
'Cause that's,
supposed
like,
to
Big
be.
Boss.
They're
like-
supposed to be prepared for that. They're supposed to, knowing that you have children of prophecy, knowing that you're raising the strongest potential wizards and witches of a generation, knowing that these are the sons and daughters of wealthy families. Yeah, you're supposed to, like, all right, me, Me, I would have like conjured freaking golems to like be activated at a moment's notice. Like that would have been like I would have had autonomous golems. I would have probably had a special series of sigils that I could use to where I could like crowd control any invading forces into that locks down their ability to even use their magic. If I wanted to be generous enough to even like not completely annihilate them by making sure that I have a place that I could like herd them into that artificially uses magic to increase gravity and crush them into the freaking ground. I like again, this is me being like kind for all the ways that I could freaking like engineer like if I like me as a Dark Lord. Do you realize how many like various methods of destruction and carnage that I could freaking conjure just for defensive purposes? Just for defensive purposes. You realize invading my wizard's keep is a suicide run.
Wow.
It's like, oh, you've chosen to die.
I have a question for Audrey.
Yes.
Audrey, this is a serious question. I need you to pay attention.
I'm paying attention. I'm just
okay. Okay, Audrey. What would you do if your only child got accepted and sorted into Hufflepuff? Wow. And we lost her. She's gone.
disown.
Disowned?
Disowned.
Yeah, but they're at
immediately.
Hogwarts. This is like the best wizarding school in the world.
You know, I
No,
that
I don't
wouldn't
know.
happen.
But what if it does, Audrey?
It wouldn't. All right, if it did happen, I would accept that.
Would you, though?
Yeah.
How would you accept it? What are you going to do? Are you going to school them? Tell them that...
No, I'd probably just constantly tell them that they're in the not as good one.
Wow, they're your only child.
Yeah.
Your only child.
I don't care.
Tell them that they're less because they got it. All right, what's your beef with Hufflepuff?
I have beef with all the ones that are not Gryffindor because they're not the right one.
The right one? I can't believe
or the best one.
This is how all of the this is how dictators are made. I'm just like,
but isn't it like normally the kids go to the same one as their parents?
Like legacy?
Like, isn't it kind of
it's like
more
legacy,
common that they end up in the same one?
Right. It's like kids who go to Ivy League schools because their parents and their grandparents have been going there for generations. Yeah. But Harry didn't get into his... I mean, Harry was going to be sorted into Slytherin, but his parents weren't in Slytherin.
True. But he wasn't.
Yeah, man, he bullied that hat. He bullied that
really
hat to push him into the right house.
See, that's what I would tell my child to do.
You're just like going to grab him by the collar and you're going to say, listen, little Audrey.
Bully the hat and tell it what's... Problem solved.
You're just gonna oh man, yeah, you're gonna be at the sorting ceremony, and then if you even so much as hear a whisper of Huffle come out of the hat's mouth, you're gonna rush up to that stage in the Great Hall, and you're gonna set that hat on fire.
Oh my god, I'm not that intense.
Okay, so I do have a question. Mm-hmm. Does the sorting hat have a soul?
Yes.
It depends on it. It has an intelligence. It has an intelligence. I'm just not 1,000% clear on whether conjured entities have souls.
It can make some jokes.
It has intelligence. So it's like asking if an AI has a soul. so I don't know. My real answer is I don't know. I don't
Do
know
AI
if
have souls?
I don't know if an AI, I don't know if intelligence and autonomy constitutes a soul. That's the thing. I don't know.
Okay, I have a question.
That's a hard one.
It's a little more personal. If you guys were reading or watching Harry Potter, and something dramatic happened, and there was a scene where somebody stabs the Sorting Hat, and the Sorting Hat has a very slow and tragic death. Would you mourn the loss of the Sorting Hat, or would you say, like it was just like a hat that just like
sure?
You know,
no, I mean, I've gotten to the point to where, like, I was talking to my sister and I was defending the rights of an anthill in our yard. I was advocating for the ants' right to exist in our, like, I'm not even joking. Here's the thing, I'm not even joking. I was really invested in this. I legitimately argued that we're
what was
the
your
ones.
argument?
I argued that we're the ones encroaching on them. They're not doing anything malicious or have any ill intent, and we would just arbitrarily be wiping them out and destroying their way of life and everything that they've worked for no good reason, and that we have our space and our living quarters, and they're not, like, we're the ones encroaching on them. We're the ones that are sitting there, and we're going to destroy them because they've inconvenienced us. And that's not necessary on our part to do that. So it's the frivolous killing of hundreds, if not thousands, of beings for a very frivolous and petty reason. That was my ultimate argument.
Did you win?
Yeah. For now. Like, for now.
Does your sister put up a good fight?
She didn't really argue that hard again. She was like, okay. More or less. It's like
She's like, all right, Roberto.
Yeah.
I'll give you this one. I will not die on this hill.
Oh my god.
So I don't know what came over me to, like, argue for them or to defend them. Like,
can you imagine, like, Roberto's just like standing in the yard, like yelling at his sister? He's got like a shield and like a sword, and he's like, "You will not touch my ants."
I can
not
see that.
today. You know what we say in the
Not
face of
today.
death? Not today.
I don't know. I guess I'm getting soft in my old age.
Oh my goodness.
Only when it comes to ants, Roberto, because when it comes to
I think it's when it comes to animals. I think it's when it comes to animals because I'm pretty ruthless when it comes to humans.
Okay, but that still doesn't answer the question. Let's bounce this over.
And
to
I would
Audrey.
mourn the loss of the Sorting Hat.
Audrey, would you? Would you cry if somebody stabbed?
Cry?
Yeah. What if one of the bad guys?
I don't know about
like,
cry. I'd be sad. I would be sad. If it sorted my child into Hufflepuff, I would rejoice.
Oh, really? That's petty. I thought I was petty.
Wow. Yeah.
I thought I was petty.
I'm kidding.
She's thinking about that too. Like, what?
She's still on that.
I was kidding. That was a joke. I would only consider it.
Yeah, it's a joke until you're actually rejoicing. Then that's for real.
Yeah. It depends.
Okay, so you guys would mourn the death of the Sorting Hat then?
Would you?
Yeah, I mean, if there was enough setup, you know,
If
they established. Yeah, I mean, if they established that the Sorting Hat has intelligence and is making jokes and is friendly and is doing like his thing, you know, and then suddenly like they kill him, right? He's like a victim of war. That's sad, you know, regardless of whether you like the guy or not.
So could they just enchant another hat? They could,
right,
but that's
exactly.
that's not the point, you know.
If they just have like a chain of just this constant conjuring of Sorting Hats. Also, I'm wondering, like, is the Sorting Hat that's at Hogwarts, is he the only one, or she, or they?
I think it is, right? Why would they have more than one?
But is it the only one? You know what I'm saying? Like in the world, like in the.
I think it might be unique to Hogwarts, and that they have other methods for sorting people
in other schools.
In other schools. Yeah, I think each individual school is unique. I don't think there's a standardization of that sort of thing.
Stop! I'm trying. Would you like to read it, Audrey?
Would a knife hurt it? It doesn't really have like a circulatory system.
Thank you, Jake of all trades.
This is very true.
It would hurt it in the sense that it would stop existing. Anyway, the knife was just an example. Let's say it's an enchanted knife, right? So whatever, it's just going to kill anything.
What if it's like a Horcrux that like yells as it dies?
Look, the point of the story was just to see if the sorting hat was here one moment and gone the next, if it would be missed. That was essentially the question. And the answer was yes.
Depends. Oh.
Okay. It depends, but there was a more resounding yes. Especially from Roberto. What if the ants are the sorting hat? Like if they all just like held hands together and came together in like the shape of the sorting hat.
How did your brain get to this?
I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to keep the show going, you know. Yeah. No. I mean, I guess I would be sad just because of the idea of, you know, the victim of war, and it's a casualty of war.
It's been around for so long. It's like a tradition too. I feel like it'd be kind of sad.
Right. It would be sad. It would be like the end of an era, you know, like the YouTube Spaces.
Wow. Exactly like that.
Yeah.
That was a great comparison.
I'm
so sad I will never be able to go to one.
Did you never get to go to
no, because I was going to go and then COVID hit. And so I didn't go. And now they're closing.
So you didn't even get to go to the one in New York or anything?
Mm-mm. I don't know if it's still open, honestly.
It's too bad because the YouTube Spaces were pretty
They were dope. They were dope. I like them as an initiative. I think that like even them shutting that, did they ever explain, aside from COVID, did they explain why they shut down the YouTube Spaces? Because I always said they should have expanded them.
Well, yeah, I think their idea was that instead of having like permanent spots everywhere, they're just going to do pop-ups. So they're going to still have the idea of the YouTube space, but they're going to make them pop-ups. I
don't like that. The one in Toronto is like really good, and they did a lot of meetups and they did a lot of events and they supported local community stuff, and the Toronto YouTubers connected around there. And the thing is, Toronto is not like LA and New York. It's like as far as the community goes, it's like it's not as cliquey. It's like it's really community, you know?
Right.
It's not like, whereas you've been to LA and you kind of know how LA and like how the LA YouTubers are. Right. No shade, no tea.
But even so, the space in LA was also really great. They had events, they had like happy hours and like mixers and stuff. Like
the New York one was too, and I met some people, and it's like the New York one was in the Chelsea market. It was great. I was under the impression, for me, one of the things I would have done if I was maybe that's a good topic. Like, what would you do as CEO of YouTube? But no offense to Susan Wojcicki, because I actually think she gets too much crap, and I think she actually does a better job than anyone gives her credit for, at least in the YouTube community. Because I don't think they know what a CEO actually is. Every YouTuber thinks they're a CEO, and they kind of are. And they kind of are, but it's different. It's another level. They don't know what corporate looks like. Anywho, the thing that one of the things I would do is I feel like expanding the YouTube spaces enhances the understanding of the YouTube culture. And so I would have wanted to expand YouTube spaces to the Midwest and to the South to bring more of the YouTube culture and to legitimize the YouTubers around there to like their communities, their friends, their family, and even to the sitting people in government to know that, okay, if YouTube is putting kind of a property in a place, and like the like, even if they don't like interact with me, if I'm in office and I'm like, oh well, like the hometown heroes and the richest young people of a generation in my community are YouTubers, and YouTube put a YouTube space in in our area, in our district or something like that, then as a legislator I like start to take the economics of small business owners that are YouTubers a lot more seriously. And I like, so I think it would have just like legitimized being a content creator if they had expanded the YouTube spaces and given more of a physical presence to YouTube in places where there's not the like where there's not the traditional flock of YouTubers, like aka New York and California and the major metropolitan areas. I think if they had put a YouTube space in Ohio, if they put a YouTube space in Atlanta, if they put one in Florida, if they put one in Texas, if they put some in the Midwest, Oklahoma, Louisiana, that kind of thing, then you'd have a lot. They don't have to be rural places, but they have to be places that are like, again, a little less metropolitan, so that you can have a Google and YouTube presence there and have the local community say, hey, this is good for our young people and our hometown heroes. And look at the, like, think about,
I think
like,
I think
Mr.
the reason
Beast.
that they did that was because they weren't reaching those kinds of people with their spaces, and so they just kind of shut them down. And then also because it was just like a money dump, like
I understand it, but it's
Didn't
like,
they also use them for like production stuff though? Like, weren't they shooting stuff?
I would have
there?
used it for
Yeah,
so
but
much
it's still
PR that it
not-
would have justified my expenses. Because the thing
Right.
is, I feel they didn't
just
use them
didn't
properly.
use it in that way. They wanted to create a space that they wanted to provide like for free for like YouTube people, and then like.
But they should have used it, and should have used every YouTuber with anything more than 10,000 subscribers that comes through for PR, which would have then shown that, hey, we put small YouTubers through our PR engine, and we put them out there, and we get in touch with the local paper, and we talk about them, especially the bigger ones that are above 10,000. But a rising tide lifts all ships. You get the people that have 100,000 in the local area, and you run PR, and you run your PR machine, and you do that, and you feed the local papers and local newscast stuff and human interest stories, and then you have a lot of positive PR around YouTube and social media and around Google and big tech. And that would have made it worth the money, in my opinion, to have those places, because now you have them as PR factories. Now you have them to be able to do any of your local level outreach in places where you don't have a stronger or strong enough presence. And I would have used it partly as a legislative token and pawn, but I play 4D chess, so. Besides, YouTube isn't profitable as it is. What's one more freaking like taking it on the chin?
Guys,
like,
I have a question. What do you think? Oh man, all right. What kind of channels do you think that the main characters of the Harry Potter universe, what kind of channels do you guys think they have if they had YouTube? I mean, obviously the Weasley twins would have a prank channel. They would be the Paul brothers.
They really would.
Oh god. I feel like Hermione would have a book club on TikTok.
I would see TikTok. Hermione wouldn't be on TikTok. Hermione would straight up be the biggest booktuber. She would straight up be the biggest booktuber.
She would also have her own online courses.
She would have that, or she'd have some kind of tutoring business. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She'd have like witch notes. She'd have witch notes instead of spark notes. She'd have witch notes.
I feel like Ron would have like just a channel where he used to post when he's a kid, like random skits.
He'd have an animal facts channel.
What?
He'd have the bestiary. He'd have the bestiary. He was all about weird animals and stuff like that, and he had all those pets.
Wait, isn't there that other kid who was into that stuff?
No, that's not Ron. Yeah, that was somebody else.
Oh, what? You guys are thinking Neville? I don't think.
No, Neville just had the frog.
Who was the one who
Ron
was, like,
had
really
a pet that turned out to be a servant of the Dark Lord.
That was
that was a mistake.
That's an interesting clickbaity video right there.
Yeah.
story time. He's like Tana Mojo, but for
Lord.
about
Actually,
how
you know
his
what,
pet
Ron?
rat
I
was
can see
actually
Ron
an
having a
evil
secret.
guy.
I could see Ron having a faceless commentary channel and like
Oh
trashing
yeah, maybe like a
all the.
conspiracy.
It
Like
may
some
be,
kind of
but no,
conspiracy.
I really think Ron was petty. He'd have a commentary channel. He'd have a commentary channel. They'd be hiding behind, or he'd pull a Dan Humphrey, and he'd be like the gossip girl of the Harry Potter universe and everything like that. Like for real. He'd yeah, he like that's Ron right there, and it'd all be some contrived thing just to get the girl, just to get to Hermione, like for real. But that's Ron. He's petty.
Yeah.
I could see.
I feel like Harry wouldn't have a channel because
Harry would have it.
Low profile.
Harry would end up probably being the Mark Rober of Hogwarts.
Yeah, I think he would have like some kind of.
I feel like he might post Quidditch highlights.
Actually, I take it back.
Quidditch highlights.
No, he would be. No, he'd be. Yeah, like Harry would be like a Quidditch. Like he'd be like Ninja, but of Quidditch. Like,
oh my god!
And here's the thing. No, I know who would be the Mark Rober. It'd be Neville. Neville Longbottom would be the Mark Rober of the Wizarding World. Science experiments.
Oh my goodness.
He'd be Mark Rober. He'd just be doing dope science experiments.
Luna Lovegood would definitely have an astrology channel.
Yes.
1,000%
yes.
She would be doing zodiac predictions or whatever the equivalent is.
Right, tarot cards.
Yeah. For sure. I feel like Harry would be posting his own highlight clips.
That's why I said he'd be Ninja. He'd be Ninja.
Yeah.
He would be streaming live while he's playing Quidditch. He'd be streaming while he's playing Quidditch, and then he'd be doing the highlights and would be he'd be like, again, for Quidditch style, he'd be almost like a gamer. He'd be like, he'd be doing that.
Yeah. Oh, what about Draco? Draco Malfoy.
Draco Malfoy would be basically Draco Malfoy would be like one of the YouTube flexer kids. He'd be like that. He'd be a flexer. He'd be like, yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, he'd be just one of those had like a literal harem, and there was nobody that was like giving out gifts and being that kind of level of generous.
I feel like Harry was he would give gifts sometimes.
But he didn't have a harem. David Dobrik had a harem.
No, he's not. He definitely is no David Dobrik type.
No.
But
and Harry was not a Mr. Beast. Like Harry was Ninja. Harry's a Ninja.
Do we have a Shane Dawson? Is that Ron?
Kind of. Yeah.
No.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Because to be real, Ron barely is a main character, so that works because like it'd be more. No, think about it. Ron would rather make content about his friends and about their stuff, and like also make them look good or defend them to people or whatever, and not be necessarily a main character.
What did Ron want to do? I don't remember what his goals were.
Ron wanted to not be picked on for being poor. Ron wanted to not be picked on for being poor.
Like, did he have like any aspirations, like besides don't die?
No.
No. Now I think of it, I can't remember anything about that.
Here.
Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know.
He liked chocolate frogs.
All right. Because like his brothers were the ones who opened the store. Like, what did he want to do?
He was he was a bit character. He was like, I mean, that's why JKR like kind of wanted to kill him off, because she just made herself a promise that she wouldn't, but she was like, yeah, he's kind of useless.
Oh yeah, he was also afraid of spiders. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's definitely.
I don't blame him for that. Like, but
he's Shane Dawson.
Yeah.
Afraid of spiders, basically. Guys, who's your favorite character?
In Harry Potter?
Mm-hmm.
Probably Voldemort.
Voldemort. Can we just like
Which Voldemort? Like the cool. Is it like the Voldemort that's like that looks like a prune under the bench at the train station?
Oh my god. Yes.
Is that the Voldemort?
The reason that I say that is because I mean he wasn't even a competent villain, so it's like, but to be very real, has the most interesting story out of all of the characters. Think about it. Out of all the characters,
That's true.
Out of all the characters, he has the most interesting story, and he has the most lore, and he has the most dimension to him, because like nobody in Harry Potter, in theory, outside of I guess like the next most interesting character is probably Hermione, and then Snape, and then Dumbledore. But other than that, nobody's that interesting.
I like Sirius Black.
We didn't have enough of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we didn't have enough of him. We are attached to him by proxy of Harry, not on his own. And, like, they beat us over the head with how tragic he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, for him to get this proper development, you'd have to give him, like, a series, like, not necessarily a movie series, but you'd have to give him, like, an HBO series, which I would be okay with. Like, to be very real with you. So,
Harry Potter Harry was too emo for my taste.
Sirius too emo. Two of my
Harry
favorite
was a
characters,
whiny,
Sirius and Ginny, were
like
He
both
was
not
whiny.
explored.
despite I'm not gonna call him a spoiled brat. He's just
He's
a brat.
privileged.
He didn't grow up privileged, but he has a pedigree. But he does have a pedigree.
Grow up privileged. You're right.
But he has a pedigree, and he's the chosen one. And to be very real with you, I kind of hate chosen ones. I do. I hate chosen ones. I hate children of prophecy.
Is that why you align with Voldemort?
A little bit. Like, I think a little bit, because, like, the thing is,
Relatable.
here's the thing. No. Here's the thing.
Hashtag relatable.
Here's the thing.
Photo of Voldemort.
Here's the thing. Voldemort is curious to me because I'm like, what would have happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what in theory, what would have happened? Because, like, I know that, like, in the idea is just that he was born evil.
Are you about to argue that what would have happened if he won?
No, I was about to argue what would have happened. What would, like, okay, so, like, if it was
a lot of people would have died. What would have
happened? No, what would have happened if Voldemort had real friends? Like, what would have happened?
He wouldn't have been created.
No, like, if Tom Riddle, if
he had
no, think about it. There are people who have no, there are people.
Listen.
There are people who have God, what is it? I'm thinking of Romina.
Okay.
What
are you talking about? Anti-wizards?
No, it's a personality disorder. What am I thinking of? You know what I'm thinking of?
No, I don't know what you're trying to plot.
All right. The idea they're theoretically saying that he was basically sociopath.
Sociopath, right.
Right. So okay. Like they're like, so they're making an argument that, like, but the thing is, okay, but how far on the spectrum is he? Is so, like, nature versus nurture. What if people had, like, been good to Tom Riddle? Like, what if people hadn't treated him like a freak? I mean, think about even what happened with Snape, right? Think about what happened with Snape. Imagine if why am I spacing on Harry's mother's name?
Lily?
Wendy? Thank you, Lily. Like, what if Lily hadn't betrayed Snape? What did you say? What if Lily hadn't betrayed Snape, right? Like, it's interesting to think what would have been different if Lily had maintained her friendship with Snape. Because, by the way, James Potter turned out to be a dick. He basically was Draco Malfoy. He was hella racist. He was kind of, like, prejudiced. He was, like, all kinds of problems. So, like, what if... So, think about it. Snape... partly only, like, yes, Snape ended up betraying the Death Eaters, but Snape was, like, emo and dark because Lily abandoned him. Like,
it was the love of his life.
But also, she was just a bad friend, to be very real.
Yeah,
she was just a bad friend.
Okay, so then we've established that Potter comes from a lineage of
jerks,
right? For lack of
people of, like, of poor character. Right. betrayers, clout chasers,
Right.
like spoiled elitist. So yeah, the
Right.
Potters kind of suck. So think about it
Right.
like that's why I don't identify with Harry. Like,
Right.
but
Well, I think a lot of people don't identify with Harry.
yeah, but okay, so Tom Riddle, like like we only have other people's commentary and point of view on Tom Riddle. We don't have any accountability for like, well, what'd y'all do to him? Like, because I don't necessarily accept the narrative that Tom Riddle was born evil. So what did y'all do? And why couldn't Tom Riddle have bonds with people? And what, because clearly Voldemort was charismatic, right? So how did it happen that he was some kind of isolated loner, like apparently that like became obsessed with immortality? Like, what did y'all do to Tom Riddle as a child? What was it like? Who hurt him? What happened? Because I don't trust the narrative created around Tom Riddle. So what did y'all do? Because just remember, Anakin Skywalker had to be completely like screwed over. Like Anakin was a good kid who was screwed over. So I think that there's a very good chance that Tom Riddle, we never got that true backstory. I'm not justifying what he did.
Talk about that? Like, wasn't there like a big thing with Dumbledore who was talking about how
Dumbledore is an unreliable narrator. He's a goddamn liar.
Yeah, but I feel like they did talk about that whole thing about, because you kind of realize that towards the end when Snape dies and stuff, that is true, and that, you know, the good guys weren't the good guys, and he could have probably been a lot different.
So yeah, so I'm like, I have to wonder, what if Tom Riddle did nothing wrong?
Well, all right, technically that's incorrect, but
it's not. But you get what I'm saying. The
question is, what would have happened if Tom Riddle hadn't been treated badly when he was younger?
Yeah, like what if Tom Riddle had been raised right, or what if what if they did right by Tom Riddle? Actually, yeah, that's it. What if they did right by Tom Riddle? So, like,
this kind of reminds me of like, I feel like something like a school shooter or something. You know, there's something that normally goes wrong.
Again, not justifying, it's an explanation though. It's like these things don't happen in isolation. These things don't happen for no reason. That's not the same thing as justifying them. It's just saying they weren't random acts of chaos per se. It's just that people don't own their culpability in, okay, this all could have been avoided. Usually through people not being jerks, or like being empathetic, or just not being bullies, or just not, you like, okay, it's like you didn't have to be extra here. That's all that would have been required, was to just live and let live. In many cases, not all the time, but in many cases. So I think there's a good argument to be made that Tom Riddle is Anakin Skywalker and got screwed over, and we never got that story.
Guys, I have some more dish on Ron.
Oh God.
Ooh.
So Ron never received a 7th year education at Hogwarts. So instead he became how do I pronounce that? Is it or at the Ministry of Magic.
Huh.
And he did that along with Harry. And then obviously he later left 2 years after he did that. He left to help his brother George at Weasley's Wizard Wheezes in Diagon Alley. So,
which is their shop.
Right. So he just went to go help his brother with the business. And then
he went into the family business.
Right. So that then, you know, people can't make fun of him for being poor anymore. Right. That makes sense that he would do that.
It was a bad job.
Well, I don't know if it was a bad job, but I'm sure that maybe there was more money at the at the shop.
Yeah.
And then of course, like at some point he married Hermione. Here's a note, which I'm not sure what the source of this is. This is from the fandom, Harry Potter fandom, you know, like the wiki stuff. So they have sources for all this stuff, but I'll read this one. Ron himself noted that he and Hermione were quite young when they were married, and that he became rather drunk afterward, having very little memory of the night after the ceremony. It's very on character for Ron.
Jeez.
Wait, what?
Guys, this is here. I'm not. I can't make this stuff up.
Why is Hermione with Ron?
Because JK messed up and she admitted that later that, okay, I should have, like, put her with Harry. She did in subsequent interviews. No, it makes more sense, especially with the movie on-camera chemistry of those characters of Daniel Radcliffe and am I spacing?
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson, thank you. Their on-camera chemistry was actually better, and ultimately it makes more sense given they are more similar in kind. And Ron was, again, a bolt-on character. It barely makes sense, aside from it being like the first person he met, it barely makes sense for Ron and Harry to be friends, like, to be honest with you.
I think Ron was just
a Ron hate video.
Like, what was Ron's real contribution to the 7 stories of the what?
He was the comic relief.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's important too, man.
He's the character that lets Harry feel less bad about the raw deal that he got.
But doesn't every hero need that?
Not really. not a stoic hero who just soldiers on.
Yeah, but they're kids.
Even so, there's a lot of stories where that's the case. I mean, not in every adult fiction story does the kid hero get a supportive person. And if they do, a lot of times that person's killed in the 3rd or 2nd act to add to their character development.
To be honest, I thought it was really basic that Harry ended up with being in a relationship. I really thought that Harry should have just been a loner. He should have just taken the Sirius Black route.
Yeah, I think that Harry should have been the long-suffering.
Had the personality for it. He had a lot of trauma with people and relationships for the first 15 years of his life or whatever.
I believe in the broken hero archetype. I believe in the no happy endings for the hero archetype.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad ending. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying they have to die or be permanently scarred, but it's to be a hero. Harry should be PTSD for life.
Yeah, I honestly, he should have gone into the woods somewhere, the forest.
I could see him being the headmaster of Hogwarts, though. But I could see him being.
Would be cool.
Yeah, but living on the grounds, off
for him to be that, to be that, and to be in his own tower, and it's kind of a little bit off limits, and he's really. And he's full time, protecting the
This is what I'm seeing. I mean, this is how it should have. That's how it should have played out. Yeah. Not this whole I'm going to marry my best friend's little sister.
Yeah,
Don't say that about Ginny. Oh my god!
I don't have a problem with Ginny getting a happy ending. I just don't think that Harry represents
is severely underrated.
That's fine, but that doesn't merit. Then guess what? Why? Then guess what? She's too good for Harry. Then.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Not gonna
Ginny Weasley is too damn good for Harry.
All right, why is she underrated?
They didn't give her enough story, and she was always kind of there to save the day whenever they needed someone to do that.
She contributed more, honestly, than her brother did.
Yeah, at the battle at the end, didn't she save a lot of
Yeah, she legit made a bigger contribution to Neville Longbottom is more of a hero than Ron Weasley ever will be.
Yeah, well, Neville I think we all agree that Neville Longbottom had to glow up.
He had to glow up, and he's a goddamn legend.
Yeah.
Neville Longbottom is a goddamn legend.
Yeah, he's he's
a scholar and a gentleman. And
you know what it is?
He deserves every good thing in the world.
Bullied.
Neville is one of those YouTubers who got really big for being really stupid, between the ages of 12 and 16, and then started to grow up, kind of like Jack's Gap, you know what I'm saying? And just started to be oh, you know what? Maybe I don't have to share everything on social media all the time. He's probably off making documentaries somewhere. Living
you could argue that
life.
You could argue, in theory, maybe you could argue that Neville Longbottom is Anthony Padilla.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, you get what I'm saying. It's a vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, one of the dumb Smosh kids, yeah, and then now he's like,
but now it's like, oh, he's established. He's got his own thing going on.
Yeah,
I see that.
Yeah. So we're all in agreement here that Neville Longbottom should have his own spin-off series.
And that Ron is dumb.
Are we giving Neville a spin-off series? Is that what's
happening? Justice for Neville.
Justice for Neville.
Justice for Neville.
Yeah, we need JK to stop tweeting so much and just write like a whole new story for Neville.
Can we have a Neville and Ginny arc?
I'm sure there's a fanfic somewhere out there.
There's probably a fanfic.
Like if you Google it,
there's fanfics for everything.
To be real with you though, like I only follow and I mostly respect people for the things that they make and the things that they do. I don't really care about their opinions too much. Like I respect people in the context of. I don't care about Tiger Woods' opinion about anything. I care about him being a great golfer. I just don't.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that's a better golfer than him?
Not really. No, because like people are in their feelings about JK. People are in their feelings about JK. Yeah, people are in their feelings about JK, and like you're allowed.
Next episode,
you're
we
allowed
talk about Tiger Woods.
Whether you're rich or famous or not, or have a platform or not, you're allowed to have an opinion that people disagree with. You're allowed to have what people want to call a bad take, especially when it may not even be the majority of people who agree with you or disagree with you. Whether you're JK or whether you're Joe Biden or whether you're Barack Obama or whoever, like. You're going to say things that people are not going to agree with. You're not beholden to say things that everyone's going to love you for or agree with. You're allowed to have a bad take, and you're still allowed to make dope stuff and like make money and have shitty opinions from time to time. I mean, that's fine. It's like I don't sit here. I don't care about what Jack Nicholson thinks. He's a gifted freaking actor, and I love his stuff. I don't care what Tom Cruise thinks. Tom Cruise has a lot of bad takes. Tom Cruise is a walking bad take. And I don't care. He's a freaking talented actor, and I'll watch anything they put him in.
Well, it's all right. I mean, like even if he disappears tomorrow, it'll be totally.
He's hella handsome.
We got the deep fake. We got the deep fake Tom.
Deep fake Tom Cruise. Deep fake Tom.
If we lose the real one, people won't even notice because we got the.
We have a backup plan. We have a backup plan. We got backups on backups. Yeah, like so. It's like it's whatever. Like Harrison Ford could freaking snap somebody's neck right in front of me. I'm still watching Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna it's like, well, maybe they had it coming. I don't know. Like,
oh my god,
guys! Metal for Breakfast says, "What if Neville became a Horcrux and turned evil into his middle-aged years for the spinoff?"
After all the bullying, they got it coming.
He did have quite a bit of bullying going on.
Yeah, hey, you got it coming. It's like, what? Sometimes you bully nerds and they grow up and they take over the world, and it just be like that sometimes.
Right, and the thing is to like
be nice to nerds because they might become dark wizards or CEOs of companies.
Right,
which are basically the same.
The same difference.
If you slap someone in the face, don't be surprised if you get slapped back.
Basically, I mean,
in like 20 years.
In like 20 years, right? Yeah. When they
get freaking Count of Monte Cristo, Count of Monte Cristo is my favorite. Like, it's like, oh yeah, so like, oh, we're gonna give them the Monte Cristo. Is that what we're doing? Yeah.
Oh. No.
Yeah, that's what happens. Hey, that's what happens sometimes. That's what happens.
So according to this Wikipedia, it says that Neville Longbottom's hair is blonde.
What?
That makes no sense.
Was it
maybe dirty blonde?
In the movie, it was black. Like the actor.
Yeah, they casted how they wanted, and I think we're better off for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could have dyed his hair. I mean, they definitely dyed Tom Felton's hair for Draco Malfoy.
Mm. Like I just think that they didn't want. I just think that they didn't necessarily want or need I don't think it would have looked as good on him, to be very real with you. And then I just think that they needed a distinction. They needed Draco to look distinct because at that point it's
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, like visually contrasting.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Hermione was supposed to have like buck teeth.
Yeah, and they're like. Yeah, she was supposed to. She was supposed to look very awkward. She was supposed to be very homely.
She was supposed to have like beaver teeth or something, I think.
Yeah, she was supposed to be homely. She was supposed to be.
But instead, they got like a fashion model.
Well, she wasn't a model when she was a kid when they casted
she was
her.
a school. She was just a school kid.
Yeah.
They didn't
like what I like about Harry Potter as a series is how many people it put on the map, like how many people it made careers for and everything. Like, and that's where it's like, it's disappointing to me that people just can't let things exist in the thing that they exist.
What's this guy's name? Robert Pattinson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the Twilight guy.
Yeah. Kristen Stewart's actually had a decent career. Like Kristen Stewart, when did her not
wasn't
making
in Harry Potter. Robert Pattinson was.
No, he was in Twilight. He was in Harry Potter too.
Yeah, he was in.
Harry Potter. He was Cedric.
He was in Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that for the longest
he was Cedric.
time.
I forgot. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff, to be honest.
Nuts.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
Well, he's a good actor.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah, I mean,
like when they give him good material.
Daniel Radcliffe is really good too.
Yes, Daniel Radcliffe
is just, in my opinion,
got Luke Skywalkered.
I think that once he gets older, like I'm talking old, that's when everybody's going to start paying attention to what he's doing.
If people just like get off of JK, she can write a sequel series to Harry Potter, and we won't have to wait like so many years like we did with Star Wars, and it'll be great. It'll be great. We could have one of the greatest.
Well, isn't there already the mythical beast
series? Yes, but that's a prequel. I think it's a prequel.
You're talking about are you talking about? Yeah, Fantastic Beasts. That's like a spin-off. It's like
that's a spin-off. I'm talking a true sequel. Like old man Harry, disheveled and like maybe broken, and then like we see the kids because or the grandkids.
We gotta wait like 40 years for that, man.
No, I don't want to wait 40 years. I want them to do it.
Daniel Radcliffe is like he's like 30.
They can age him up. Like they could do like it would be it'd be so good because like unlike what happened with Star Wars with the sequels when you wait too long.
He's still too young. I don't think it's gonna work. He's got to be a little bit older.
No, it's wizards. So no, it makes sense. No, it makes sense because they're wizards, so they age different. They can age different. They can live for a long freaking time.
They can age different. What do you mean?
Why not both? Why not middle-aged Harry and old Harry?
I just want these sequels, and I want them now. Like I want sequels. I want sequels. I want Harry Potter sequel series. I want the Harry Potter sequel series. I want it now, and like I want them to do it. And and the thing is, again, if JK can just like get off Twitter and put pen to paper, we can like, and if people can just chill, and people can just chill,
keyboard,
yeah, whatever, you know what I mean. Like maybe she needs to go real old school, go analog with it and everything like that, get her mojo back. But
no, well, she does. You know have you ever seen her process for how she structured Harry Potter?
No, but I might.
So it's actually pretty fascinating because her way of like doing the outline. Like she has like these charts with like she actually wrote like she drew it, you know, like these lines, and to be able to have like this timeline of when and where everything was taking place. And it's pretty interesting, like the her whole process for it.
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah. And she definitely she did a lot of handwriting stuff, I think.
Yeah.
You guys should come here and we can go to Hogwarts.
Wow. Really? Like, is that what you're like?
Well, I got to come up there for VidCon.
Oh, you know, we got the fight this Sunday.
That's this Sunday.
I was
Sunday.
I was offered tickets to next Sunday's fight, but I'm not next Sunday, next Saturday's fight. The TikToker versus YouTuber fight next weekend. I was offered tickets, but I'm going to be busy.
Where is it?
Wait, the Bryce Hall one?
Yeah, the TikToker versus YouTube.
Is it there?
I think it is.
Not the Bryce Hall.
I mean, I totally forgot about this fight, and I didn't even look into the tickets.
I think it's gonna be good. I think people are
I completely forgot.
I think people
are. Dude, I saw a thing on Twitter of him punching, and he slaps. He doesn't punch.
I think it's gonna be good because again, everyone underestimated the Deji versus Jake Paul fights. Like the Deji versus Jake Paul fight, people underestimated that. And here's the thing:
the Deji one will be good.
The Deji versus Jake Paul was good. Like when it happened, that first fight, it was really good. And here's the thing: and Deji didn't properly train, and he actually put in work, and he's given Jake Paul the best fight Jake Paul's had in his, because everyone else just gets knocked out. Like, you know, like, so that was like the best fight we actually got where Jake Paul got bloodied and like where someone put in the work and he went a couple of rounds. He went, like Jake was saying, round one, homie, round one. And then it's like Deji gave him a good fight. He was game. Deji was game, but everyone else has literally gone round 1 with Jake, and that's it.
Like, now he's super picky about who he fights.
He's fighting people who are actually fighters. Like, Deji was a gamer who was like, you know, husky and like hadn't been in shape, and he didn't train properly. The thing is, Deji would have had an actual shot of winning that fight if he had trained like KSI did. If Deji trained like KSI, that fight would have gone a lot differently. I still think when KSI and Jake Paul fight, that's going to be the fight. That's going to be the real fight. That's going to be the real fight. That's going to be the good. That's going to be the good. By the way,
I think that's where I saw it. I think I was watching a video of KSI talking about how Bryce Hall keeps saying he wants to fight him.
But here's the thing. I think Logan Paul, I'm about to bet money, like real money, like maybe $1,000 on Logan Paul, like technically beating or even knocking out Floyd Mayweather. I'm not even joking.
Is that because cash or in Doge?
Cash. And like, here's the thing.
Why?
Here's the thing. Because I think the universe has decided that it's in for the memes now. The universe has decided and chosen, the universe has chosen violence and absurdity. So it's just down for the memes now. The universe is clearly down to clown. The universe is clearly down to clown.
There's no way Mayweather would let that happen.
I don't know that he has a choice because Mayweather is not in his prime. Mayweather is not in his prime. Mayweather is 7 years older than I am. Mayweather is the heaviest he's ever been, and not for good reasons, not in muscle. And Logan is in his prime. So Logan has a good 20 years on him, 30 pounds on him, is taller than him, and has longer arm reach. In every statistic for boxing, that's kind of a guarantee win. Think about it. Oh, I've got arm reach on you. Oh, I've got weight on you. Oh, I've got height on you, and I'm in my prime, and you're not. That's literally in every other scenario of fighting when you don't have clout and you don't have name recognition. Everyone would go, oh yeah, that's game over. That's game over. You're fighting a fighter 20 years younger than you, that's taller than you, in the prime of his life, and has arm reach on you, taller, and has 30 pounds on you. Like, that's game over. And if you put anybody's name on that ticket other than Mayweather, anybody will look at those stats and say, this is a joke, right?
Well, is Mayweather actually preparing?
No, Mayweather hasn't trained for jack. Logan's been taking it seriously. That's the other thing. Mayweather is pretending this is a cakewalk. He's not taking it seriously. I think when you disrespect an underestimated opponent, you're asking to lose. For me, it's less about how good Logan is. No, for me, it's less about how good Logan is and the fact that Mayweather is like being sloppy about this. You don't disrespect your opponent.
Yeah, you always show up 110%. It doesn't matter who you're with.
Yeah,
you don't. Like, that's how you, like, when you don't treat someone like their game and like they could, like, you know, hurt you, that's how when you underestimate somebody like that, somebody who wants it, who has everything to gain, by the way.
Right.
Everything to gain from your downfall?
Yeah.
Or from embarrassing you?
Like, can you imagine how great it would be on his resume if he takes out
Here's the thing. I mean, they made it to where it won't count against Mayweather's record.
Fight ever
like,
again.
If Mayweather weren't, like, because again, he's not taking it seriously. But again, I know he's not taking it seriously because he also made it to where it won't affect his record. They made the rules and the ruling to where this won't count toward his record. As an exhibition fight, this won't count toward his record at all. So that means that he doesn't even have to try because it won't really damage his legacy. Because on paper, he will not have had a loss. He'll still be, on paper, this won't be a loss. So the thing is, since he doesn't have to take it seriously, since he really doesn't have anything to lose, he won't lose his legacy. He'll lose some street cred, but he'll get a bag regardless. And that's all Mayweather's really down about. So like, that's the real reason he's doing this, is the bag is too good. And he loves to live rich. So I genuinely believe that Logan Paul has every advantage in this fight and everything to gain. I think the universe has chosen violence and absurdity. And I think that the Paul brothers are the avatars of chaos. I think the Paul brothers are the avatars of chaos, and I think the universe has chosen violence and absurdity. And it's chosen its avatars. It's chosen its it's chosen its horsemen basically. So
do you think that Dogecoin is going to be the currency of Earth?
No.
Right.
No, I think that like any chance Dogecoin had,
if the universe is being run by memes now.
any chance because here's the thing.
Oh, you got your money on Shiba. Is that it?
When the joke goes too far, like because like Elon, if Elon had said and done nothing with Saturday Night Live, if Elon had not gone on Saturday Night Live, Dogecoin would have a chance. He ruined it. Yeah, I said it.
All right.
Like Doge would have had a chance, but guess what? Elon did what he did. SEC is looking into because here's the thing.
Yeah.
If cryptocurrency ends up being regulated, which kind of defeats a lot of the point, and it goes to hell.
Right.
Because if regulations come through, we all know that all cryptocurrency will probably dip by about a good 40%. We already know that. Mm-hmm. Because even when it hints at it, it drops by like 15 to 20%. If it actually starts to... So guess what? Elon Musk has the most likelihood of being the reason that cryptocurrency gets regulated in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. Elon Musk will probably destroy cryptocurrency, but not blockchain. So that's the good news for me because I'm about that smart contract life, that Cardano life. I'm about that... Ether. I'm about that side of the thing because cryptocurrency is just one application of blockchain. So cryptocurrency might as well be Netscape Navigator. All right. I'm going to hold out for like when we get email and when we get Chrome. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, so like, I'm not about that like, you know, like that because he's gonna be the reason that gets mainstreamed, but it's also gonna be the reason it gets regulated, probably because the SEC has already said that Tesla wasn't doing its job of monitoring and restraining him on Twitter and him tweeting talks, about the Tesla stock price. So he's already hurt Tesla's stock price. He's already upset Tesla shareholders and people who, and people who buy the stock. He's already damaging. I mean, he's a good engineer. He's a good visionary. He's like, I have a lot of praise for Elon, but I'm going to be critical about him. He's messing up people's profits on Tesla right now. He's undermining the good work that his company is doing right now with his persona, because he can't just chill out, not be a maniac, and just make cool stuff. You can't just like, Elon, you've got one job. Like, make cool stuff. Just make cool stuff. Right. Like, get off Twitter and make cool stuff. Like most CEOs, and then it's like put that on a shirt. Yeah, or I mean, because Elon, like, all right, Elon is like, are you bored? Do you just want to be an influencer? You want to start a YouTube channel? Like, let's go. But again, I like Elon, but I'm like, I'm gonna give him the business right now.
Yeah, it's like pick your job and do it right.
Yeah, pick your lane, man. Like, pick your lane because like, pick your lane because like. It's a distraction because now it's like everything is getting done. Like everything is getting done sloppy now. Everything is messy now. Because because by the way, to the extent that now I just want the Ford F-150 Lightning. Now that wouldn't have happened without Tesla. So again, props to Elon for moving the Overton window on the EV future and on lowering carbon emissions and all that, because the Ford F-150 is the most bought vehicle in the country, if not in the world, I believe. So mainstreaming that to EV and at an affordable price, that wouldn't have happened without what Elon and Tesla did. So that's transformative. I believe that we get to an EV future now and close the Overton window by 10 years on that because of now what Ford is doing, because they're taking it seriously. If they put their flagship F-150 and it's going to be about $40,000 for a Ford F-150 EV that is what people are willing to pay for a Ford F-150. And the Pro version is $50,000. People will buy a Ford F-150 for that and know that it's electric. And then with Ford going in on electric, power stations and everything like that, it's going to be real now. So now we have a real tight EV future, and it wouldn't have happened without Elon. So great. But now I'm not going to go buy a Tesla sedan, and I'm damn sure not going to buy a Cybertruck. I'm going to buy a Ford F-150 Lightning Pro. By the way, their CEO doesn't tweet like a maniac. So I'm also going to go buy Ford stock.
Well, speaking of maniacs, I'm going to go eat like a maniac.
Right on.
Me too.
I already ate before this. I'm going to go to Clubhouse and chill with my boy
Clever
Viper.
Girl.
Clever girl. All right, so let me intro us out. Sorry, let me outro us. Thank you for listening to the No Assembly Required podcast, where we finally successfully, I believe, made Hogwarts great again. If not, at least the Harry Potter series itself. We gave justice to Ginny and to Neville Longbottom, our true heroes of the hour. And we thank our unsung heroes of the hour, the live YouTube audience, as well as the podcast listeners. Please leave us a review over on Apple Podcast or wherever you can, and we will catch you next week with another exciting topic in internet-y or pop culture, or we will go into the rabbit hole of conspiracy. We have not decided on a format. Thank you so much. We will catch you next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time-ish. This has been your trio of hosts, starting with Romina, clever girl that she is, and Audrey the Hut, and your favorite Dark Lord of the interwebs, Roberto Blake. Thank you for listening.